Hello, and welcome to Women's Insight. My name is Aisha Oromia Ali, and I will be the host for today. In today's program, we have a very special guest, a longtime friend and ally of the Oromo, international independent media journalist, Yassin Juma. Welcome.
I'm honored to be here.
Thank you. And I know that you're an honorary Oromo as well. You had the Mogasa ceremony during the Erecha festival. So we are honored to have you. I'd like to start off by saying thank you for all the advocacy that you've done in the past and currently as well in shedding light on the Oromo culture and the Oromo history and the Oromo struggle in general.
Yeah, it's always an honor to be part of the Oromo Nation's history, and I'm glad to be here.
Yes, I know, like you've covered one of your first major stories that shed light on the Oromo struggle was inside rebel territory, and now you're working on a docuseries called The Lost Tribe of Oromo, Oromo to Oromia, the epic journey. We'll touch a little bit more on that later during our conversation, but I'd like to start off by asking you, what was some of the things that made you interested in covering Oromo stories?
Okay. Well, being in Kenya, Kenya is home to a big number of refugees from Somalia, Ethiopia, Sudan. So for years, I'd had this interest in doing stories about the refugees after I met one refugee family that hosted me for a while. It's a Somali family. So ever since then, I've had an interest to do stories. When I became a journalist, that is in 2004, I just opted, I want to specialize on refugee stories because I believe there's so much stories about them, but it seems ordinary Kenyans just don't know much about refugees. So I wanted to do stories that highlight the challenges that the refugees are facing and, try to assist them in whatever problems they had. So in the past, as a journalist, I've taken many stories as personal as I could. And I think for those who know me who are in the diaspora, there are so many who went actually through my hands just to get a resettlement through the UN. So my interest for refugees started way long in my first year as a TV journalist in 2004.
Great. So your passion for, and your humanity got you interested in covering stories from Oromo, Somali, refugees in Kenya.
Yeah, all the we have like 500,000 refugees back then, after the 1990, when the government failed, the Siad Barre was ousted in Somalia. So all these people were coming into our country. But later on, I got interested with the Oromos because I came to ask myself, why are Ethiopians in Kenya? And my assumption was that Ethiopia is a peaceful country and has no, like many Kenyans, I had no background of the political ongoings in Ethiopia. So I came to meet Oromos in a popular place called Isli and Pangani. For those who went through Kenya, they know these places. There's a significant number of Oromos and other Ethiopians who live in this area. So I got interested to know why they are in Kenya. And through that, I got closer and closer. They used to invite me to their events as being a TV journalist. So I would go for example, World Refugee Day, and from there my interest grew, and until now.
Great, because that you actually built on that interest where you have actually been connecting the lost Oromo tribes in Kenya with the Oromos back in Oromia. And one of the efforts that you are a part of is the Erecha Caravan, which traveled 2022, and for a second time traveled back to Oromia in 2023 from Kenya. So I'd like to start off by saying, like, where did this concept of the Irecha caravan come from? I know you played a pivotal role in connecting these lost tribes, and you're working on a docuseries about that. But this concept of the Irecha caravan, where did this arise from?
Nice. That's a good question. You know, I've been living in Ethiopia for in the last. I was living in Ethiopia from 2019 all the way up until my arrest, which is 3 years ago. So when I was in Ethiopia, two things happened. First of all, I was told the PM had an interest. To link all the Oromos in the diaspora, and I also had a similar interest. So I wanted to do a documentary that time, a documentary that could link the Kenyan Oromos and any other Oromos, because I believe there's one Oromo tribe, the Iraku in Tanzania and all that. So I got that interest, and I exchanged this with several people, including the Prime Minister's office. He had a lot of interest on trying to link all the Oromos in the diaspora. But one specific friend of mine also had that similar idea. It's called Shukri, and so Shukri came over last year and told me, hey, I believe this dream of, letting the Ethiopians, the Oromos in Ethiopia, know that they have their brothers, not only in Marsabit, but as far back as Tana River. And let's try and, take this Oromos in Kenya all the way up to Ethiopia. And the best time would be the Irecha. So I was like, this would be a very good idea, especially for the Irecha, because most of the Oromo people in Kenya, I'm talking about the Orma people, I'm talking about the Borana, the Gabra, they have absolutely very little knowledge about what Irecha is. And I went for the first time in Irecha, the first Irecha in Finfine, that is after 150 years. That was the first Irecha. I was honored to attend it. So, I'd never seen anything like this before, It's I would only equate it to my experience to when I did Hajj, when I underwent Hajj. I would because there's so many people on the ground, and it's so, you feel so sacred when you're walking, especially in the dawn when you're in Bishoftu, and it's time to go to the lake, and the women in Sinke walking and singing that sacred song, the Marero. It's so emotional. And I thought all this, I felt like I'm the only Kenyan who is experiencing all this. So I wanted to share this with other Kenyans, but especially the Oromos who are in Kenya, who have been cut off from their ancestral land for almost 700 years, 800 years. I thought it would be great to have them taken on an Irecha caravan. So we thought of doing it as a caravan. I thought it's more interesting. Me and Shukri thought it would be more interesting if we do it as a caravan, especially for my, for my coverage. I thought it's more adventurous, they'll have more experience on the way, interrelate, see how they relate each other all the way, see how they overcome the challenges, like what we went through at the Moyale border, where some were told they have to go back until there was intervention from the Oromia government, and they had to pass through. So I thought it's more interesting if we do it as a caravan. So we decided to do it as a caravan that included a roadshow truck and a bus, 2 buses, and the logistic vehicle.
Yes. So just to what's interesting and what's actually pretty impressive is the fact that the Oromos from the Tana River are not even close to the border of Oromia or Kenya. They're actually further down south. So the fact that you guys were able to identify and acknowledge the Orma as Oromos and connect them and travel that long route is really impressive. And I'd like to note that. And to add to this, you said that you faced some challenges at the border. What were some of the challenges, other challenges that you guys faced, and what were some of the highlights during this journey?
Okay. Well, that's I'd say it was a journey of a lifetime, and I always go back to equating it to my first experience of Hajj. So this is basically and you'll see in my stories, I'm referring to them as pilgrims because they're actually pilgrims, and this is the biggest cultural ritual and event in Africa. And I've never seen anything as big as this. So since I've been covering, Oromo affairs for all these years, there was a lot of interest from Oromos living in Kenya, including those in Tana River County. And Tana River County is at the coast of Kenya. That is quite far from Finfine. I'd put it at around 2 kilometers from Tana River all the way to Finfine. You can imagine how far this place is. And also it's around maybe 600 kilometers to the closest, 600 kilometers to the closest other Kenyan Oromo tribes. That is, I'm talking about the Boranas in Isiolo and Marsabit. So yeah, so we had this connection with the elders from the Orma community. And yeah, we talked to them, and we came to an understanding. They also, they were also eager to be connected to their lost ancestry. This was going to be the first time ever that's going to happen. That these people, after 700 years, they'll take a delegation all the way to attend the Irecha, and not only attend the Irecha, but also, go to the land where their ancestors came. So it was quite an interesting journey. We had challenges on the way. The roadshow, you'll see in my documentary, in my docu-series, which already part 1 has been aired, and now tonight we aired part 2. So the part 1 is from Nairobi, from Tana River to Nairobi. Then Nairobi, the flag off at the Ethiopian embassy, all the way to Isiolo, then Marsabit, and all the way to Moyale. So it stops at Moyale. I usually love to use suspense. So I leave the audience with suspense in Moyale. We don't know what's going to happen to them, or because the track has broken down, 500 kilometers back, so there's that suspense. Then the next morning, part 2 is we have difficulties with the immigration of Ethiopia. So they refuse. Most of those who went do not have passports. You understand? And we had an understanding with the Ethiopian embassy. Through Visit Oromia and also through the Oromia government, that they would be allowed to pass through using just the national IDs, but that became a bit tricky, and to make even matters even more challenging. They had issues with me. I just found out at the border that I'm still on Ethiopia's government red alert. So that was a challenge, and but it never got me down I just saw it as a challenge, but I had a good crew who went through all the way up to Finfin.
Great. So that's so you've touched on some very interesting points about Eritrea, comparing it to Hajj. You know, some Oromos do refer to Eritrea as the Oromo Hajj. So what is your take on Eritrea in terms of it is one of the biggest, actually the biggest festival in Africa. But you were able to connect the Kenyans with the Oromos through Eritrea. Do you think that in the future, neighboring countries such as Tanzania, Uganda, Djibouti, not only like lost Oromo tribes there, but the actual nationals will actually come and take part in this Eritrea festival?
Well, I'm looking at that, but I'm looking at it from an, I have an interest. It's like my pet subject, anthropology and culture. It really excites me. So, yeah, I'm just hoping that one day it will be as big as that. It's a step. It's, I mean, the first year we did it. Now this second year, despite challenges that we might have faced, but I'm looking forward to, Eritrea being an event that will see as many African countries as possible attend. We want to see people from as far as the Fulani, because just out of my anthropological research, the Fulani are related to the Oromo. There are many other tribes who are related to Oromo. I'm just hoping that there'll be that here. So we have people from as far as Senegal and Mali, as far as down South Africa, and they come to attend the Eritrea. I think Eritrea would be more, more of a symbol of unity for Africa. That is my belief.
Yes, I agree with that. I'll also like to congratulate you guys because you were awarded a tourism award by Visit Oromia for the Eritrea Caravan. So that is a fantastic accomplishment. Congratulations to you and your team. And now I want to take you a little bit back to one of the first stories that you did when you covered, well, that's one of the stories that actually shed international attention on the Oromo struggle, on the inside rebel territory. It was just very amazing in terms of the journalism skills, your team that attended there. And you have discussed on some of the challenges and how it was very hard to gain the trust to go and visit the Oromo Liberation Army and get their perspective. And that's one of the first stories that actually shed light. And for you as a journalist and as a neighboring Kenyan to the Oromos, found out about the Oromo struggle, and it's one of the hidden struggles that people don't really hear about. So how was that? How was that experience in terms of going and visiting Ola and having a conversation with them and just hearing their perspective?
Well, it took a lot of logistics into it. It took a lot of time to plan for it. It took a lot of time for them, for the group to have trust in me before, in the end, allowing my access into Ethiopia and the military base that they were based in southern Ethiopia. I'd say it's one of the unforgettable stories that I've ever done. And when I say that, out of my 19 years of experience, that means a lot, because I've covered the region a lot, and I've been bombed, I've been kidnapped, I've been shot at, I've had a plane crash, all just doing my work. Yeah. So when I say this is one of the most unforgettable docu-series I ever did, I mean exactly that. So I had to. It was we spent like 7 days in the bush with the rebels, and you know, it took time for us to get to trust each other, but we had in-betweens who also assisted us, you know, and it really took time before they actually in the end accepted that, hey, yeah, we've seen you doing stories with the rebels in Somalia. Okay, now we accept you to do this story. But you know, through that, I was able to understand the Oromo struggle more, and you know, they were able to also make me understand the Oromo struggle more. Although it got me into trouble with authorities, and it had to take the president of Kenya to talk with the prime minister of Ethiopia back then, PM Zenawi, so that things would settle down. So it was quite an experience, but it really got me into trouble, and it actually ended into a diplomatic row between Ethiopia and Ethiopia and Kenya, because the pressure was actually also from my government that the story should not run on air. We should stop doing the story just because of the good relationship between Addis and Nairobi. But I had a good boss who insisted that, you know, this story, you risk your life going there. You had the best characters you could get on the ground, Falmatu, Guracha, all those that I met in the bush. Then you come here and the story doesn't get on air. I mean, personally, I thought if the story doesn't go on air, and it had already been promoted on YouTube, but then YouTube was still new, 2009, I would have let down like 45 million Oromos who are waiting to watch the story. So it was a challenge. It was challenging. Sometimes I went through challenge so much that I would ask, why did I get myself into this? You know, my life was in danger. I had to like move to the next country to be a bit safer. I couldn't edit the story in safety, you know, and especially after I declined some form of gift that Addis had intended to give me. When I said I couldn't I couldn't accept it, so I got myself into trouble with authorities in Ethiopia. So, and since 2009, I was banned in Ethiopia until the new government came in, and I decided, hey, let me go to Ethiopia. Everything is new. All the rebels are coming back. There should be opportunity for my Hon 24 media company. I could settle there, do stories for BBC, Al Jazeera, and Sky, like I used to do in the 2 years in Ethiopia. Yeah, so
yes,
it was unforgettable.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the Oromos really admire you as not only a journalist, but as a human being for being able to be compassionate and taking that risk. And it's basically a sacrifice that you did for the Oromo nation. And we will always be grateful for that, because not a lot of journalists or a lot of international outlets give attention to the Oromo struggle. And for that, we admire you and we appreciate you. In saying that, just before we end, we're coming to the end of our conversation. Yassin Juma, do you have any last words that you'd like to say to our viewers?
Well, that's thank you for, first of all, thank you for having me. I have so much respect for OMN. I know how influential OMN is, and the part it has played over the years in highlighting the issues that important, significant issues for the Oromo community. Well, I'd like to tell my followers to kindly follow me on my new YouTube channel, because that's where the documentary series is going to be aired. So we've started with the lost tribe of Oromo, which is about the Irecha caravan, and we've aired part 1, and tonight we just aired part 2. So my followers could go to Yassin Juma TV, Yassin Juma TV YouTube, and kindly I'm asking you guys to support me and subscribe and like, so that you can finish the rest of the series, the series of the parts. That is, we have 6 parts. It's a 6-part series. So this is just at the beginning of the stories that I'm going to be doing. So we're starting with the lost tribe of Oromo, where the Orma people, and I'm capturing, highlighting the adventure, the epic journey of this Kenyan Oromos all the way through the border up to Finfine and Bishoftu, and the challenges that they go through. So that is going to be covered in this docu-series. So, and next after that, I am planning to, go to South Africa, also cover stories about the Oromos in South Africa, hopefully in the Gulf, then Europe, then North America. I'm just trying to do a docu-series about the Oromo people, especially in the diaspora, because I mean, they've really contributed a lot to the struggle, a lot to the economy of Oromia. I remember last year, was it 2 years ago, when I was part of another project also, which was a project that was started by the Oromos in North America, which is the e-learning project, which is a brilliant idea. We went all over Oromia, from Hararge to Jima, just taking e-learning to secondary schools, and they were really appreciative. And when I called a school like Oda in Adama right now, they're telling me, you guys really helped us with the e-learning, for them access to internet and all that makes the education easy for them. So yeah, my interest is to do more stories about the Oromo people, and that, I promise you, will be aired in my Yassin Juma TV channel, which is a new YouTube channel. So I really accept. I hope that more of you will support me in this new journey that I'm having, and do the stories that you always saw me doing in TV in the last 18 years, exactly the same and maybe better.
Thank you so much for being with us today, Yassin. And as you guys have heard from Yassin, follow his YouTube channel. It's a new channel. It's called Yassin Juma TV. And you can follow the new docu-series, The Lost Tribe of Oromo, Orma to Oromia, The Epic Journey, which follows the Irecha caravan, traveling a long distance and facing highlights and challenges throughout this journey. So it's a wonderful docu-series. Make sure you follow it, Yassin Juma TV. Thank you for watching this today, and I hope to see you at the next program. Thank you so much.